Guys, this is the Supreme Swordsman here, and today I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite moments in the baroque saga of One Piece. So let's go ahead and get started. But before I do, this is my opinion, so please don't get mad. This is my opinion. If you don't like it, I understand, but this is my opinion. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Alright, so number 10 on my list is in the Alabasta part, where they were in that town where the old man was digging in the sand to try to get the water out, and he dug like the whole night just to get like a little bit of water, and instead of keeping that water he gave it to Luffy, and then Luffy ended up using it in a battle against Crocodile. Even though he didn't win that battle, that's actually what made him eventually know Crocodile's weakness. And I just like that moment where he handed over the water and he worked all night just digging and digging just to get that water for Luffy, and I thought that was a really awesome moment. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to number 9, and this is when Pell died. Well, we thought he died from bringing the bomb up and exploding himself and sacrificing himself for everyone else. I loved this moment. I thought it was so touching that he sacrificed himself, and then we get to see a little bit of flashbacks of when Vivi used to ride on Pell's back around Alabasta, and I just loved that moment. It would have been a lot higher on my list if he would have actually died, but since he actually somehow survived that, which I have no idea how he did, but I don't like it, to be honest with you, I had to bring it down a few notches on my list. But that moment where I saw him die, I was like, wow, that was just an awesome moment, and I just really enjoyed that moment, but it is what it is. Now, number 8 is actually the very beginning of the baroque saga, and this is when Zoro was beating up all those agents, all those baroque agents, and everyone else was sleeping. And Luffy wakes up and sees that Zoro is beating up all those agents that were so nice to him, giving them snacks and stuff like they did in the very beginning. And he got really mad at Zoro, and they start fighting, and Luffy was just screaming and yelling at him like, oh, how could you do this to them after all that nice stuff they just did for us? And it was just so funny. I was laughing so hard watching that moment. I just really liked it. It was an awesome moment of One Piece for me. Now, number 7 on this list is actually meeting Ace. I love Ace as a character, and I ended up loving him more later on in the series. At this point in the series, we didn't get to see too much of him, just a little bit of fighting other baroque agents, and we got to find out that he is Luffy's brother, which I kind of guessed once I saw him. I just guessed he looks a lot like him, and I just knew as soon as I saw him, like, yeah, that has to be his brother. But I just loved that moment, and it was just awesome to know that Luffy does have a brother, and I knew when he left that he was going to have another part of the story, and that he was going to be way bigger than what he just was. And of course he ended up having such a big role in the series as a whole, and I just really enjoyed getting to meet him, and he was really cool to see. So I really enjoyed that moment. Number 6 on this list is Zoro versus Mr. One. I loved this fight. It was one of my favorite fights in the whole baroque saga. It was just an awesome fight, and the reason why I like this fight so much is because you really get to see Zoro becomes stronger as a character. This is when he can first start cutting iron, and now that he can cut iron, he's just a lot stronger. And I remember in the part where he was trapped by the wax fruit on Mr. 3, and he was saying he can't cut it, and he was mad because he couldn't cut it, and then he was kind of dogging himself about it. He wasn't happy. He was like, man, I have to become stronger, and I have to become stronger. And when he fought Mr. One, and he ended up beating Mr. One by cutting through the iron, I just thought it was awesome. I just loved it, and it was like, yes, you're one more step closer to finally being able to fight against Mihawk, which of course he's nowhere near that at that point, but it's just one step closer, and it just shows him getting stronger and stronger, and I just love that for his character. Now, number 5 is Nami versus against Miss Doublefinger, and the reason why this is so high on my list, even above the Zoro fight, is because this is the first time in the series where we can really see that Nami can help in battle at some sort, because of course Nami is important to the crew. She's the navigator, and she does a lot of important stuff on the ship, and just as a whole for the group. But when it comes to battling, she was always the weakest link, and she really couldn't do anything. And to see her with this new weapon that Usopp made, and to see her fight Miss Doublefinger and actually beat Miss Doublefinger, at that point in the series I was like, man, Nami is more than just a navigator, and that's why I gained so much respect for Nami at that point. And that's why I just love Nami. That's the point of the series. I was like, you know what, I actually really like Nami. She's an awesome character, and she can hold her own in battles too. So that's what I really enjoyed about that part. And it was just an awesome moment for me to see that. Now, number 4 is actually a really funny moment to me. It's actually the funniest moment in One Piece, in my opinion, so far, especially in the series. And I'm all the way up to the time skip now. And it is just so funny. This is when they were at Little Garden, and they were fighting Mr. 3, the wax fruit dude. And they were all gonna get turned into like wax statues, and they were all gonna die because there's no one to save them at that point. And they were all like, oh no, I don't want to die, and blah blah blah. And then Zoro puts his swords up like this, and just stays there. And then everyone's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, if I'm gonna die, I want to die in a cool stance. And then he's like, are you crazy? And they're like, oh, you better hurry up. You don't have a lot of time. You want to die looking like that? And it was just funny to see how like serious he was about it. Like, he wasn't joking at all. He was like, I just thought it was really funny. I was laughing so hard at that moment. And still, at One Piece, that's still my favorite moment. Funny moments of One Piece. It was just so funny to me, and I always like to go back and watch that episode just because it's so funny to me to see him just like that. Like, it was just really funny, and I really enjoyed it. Now, number 3 is at the very, very end of this saga, when they all left, and they put up their arms for Vivi to let her know that they were a friend, because they couldn't say, yeah, that they're friends with Vivi, because then she would be in trouble with the government. So instead of saying anything, they just put up their bands, and I mean, not their bands, but the little mug with the X, and I just really enjoyed it. And I thought that was just a really cool moment, and a really touching moment. And still to this very day, I still love Vivi. I still consider her a Straw Hat, and I can't wait to maybe one day we'll see her again, meet up with the Straw Hats. I don't know if you guys have in the anime. I'm not completely caught up, but I just really want to see that happen one day, and I hope it does. Okay, now number 2 on my list is the recruitment of Chopper. And the reason why this is so high on my list above all these other great moments of One Piece and this saga is because I just love Chopper's character. Like, Chopper is one of my favorite Straw Hats. I just love Chopper. I just think, out of all the backstories in One Piece, although Chopper is not the saddest, I just felt so bad for him. Like, having him get shot at every day, and everyone just hated him for being himself. And I just felt so sorry for him. And when I saw this moment, and you know, and the part where Luffy was like, "Hey, look, it's a monster," and Chopper was like, "Oh man, yeah, it's just another one of those guys." And he's like, "Cool, I want him to join my crew." That was just so funny. Like, Chopper was like, "What?" And I just loved it. How from the very beginning, Luffy was just so nice to Chopper, and how Chopper really grew to love the crew, and he was to me, he's such a big member of the crew. I just love Chopper, and just seeing how he became a part of the crew, and his whole backstory, and seeing him at the very end where he was like, "Oh, thanks guys, but I hope you come and visit me sometime, but I just can't go with you." And then Luffy just screams like, "Oh, shut up and let's go, and shut up and let's go." And I just thought that was a very cool moment. I just love Chopper's character, and I just love seeing him join the crew. And to this day, he's still one of my favorite Straw Hats. Probably in the top 3 or 4 Straw Hats out of all of them so far. So I really enjoyed that. Now, number 1 on this list, if you have not guessed, is Mr. Prince. And my Mr. Prince, if you don't know, of course, is Sanji. Sanji, man, he was this awesome throughout this whole arc. You know, I always liked Sanji, but compared to the other Straw Hats, I didn't like him as much. And on the Little Garden part, where everyone was fighting their asses off to try to get away, and Sanji didn't like really do that much to help at first because he was far away from them. I was like, come on, Sanji, really? Like, you're not doing anything. And then through that whole arc, he wasn't really doing too much work. Like, not that he wasn't trying, it's just he was never in the right place at the right time. And then, of course, in the end, he talked to Crocodile on the phone in the Little Garden arc, the Little Garden part. But throughout that whole series, Sanji wasn't doing that much. I was like, what are you doing, Sanji? Like, the enemies didn't even know who you were. And then to see it all wrap up in the end, like, dang, because they didn't know who he was able to save the rest of the Straw Hats in that moment where they were locked up in the little thing that Crocodile had with all the crocodiles around them and the sea prison stone bars. And I just thought that was an awesome moment. I was like, dang, Sanji, I take back everything I was saying about you. You are an awesome character, and I loved seeing him save the Straw Hats. And I was like, man, the writer of the series is just awesome to be able to plan that out just like that, to purposely not have him be seen, not have him be that big of a role in the fights for this one moment. And I just thought it was an awesome moment of One Piece, and it was great. I loved it. So yeah, this is my top 10 moments in the Baroque saga. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to do Skypiea arc soon. I hope that you like those ones too. Please comment and subscribe to my videos. I finally got some posters back there. I'm going to get some more. I'm going to try to make my background look better. If I get more subscribers, I'm going to start to work on fixing this editing stuff and making my videos better. Please watch my videos and continue to show me some support. And thank you guys a lot. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.